New Hampshire's go-to events photographers, headshots, and commercial. In the pod, we have a guest. Woohoo. We have a guest.
Surprise. Actually, this morning we have a very interesting topic to talk about that we haven't talked about in the past. And with that, we have Anthony Poole here with us from Trivantus Payroll out of Manchester. And good morning, Anthony. How are you today?
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me on this morning. Doing good.
Good morning, Anthony.
How you doing?
You're at Trivantus is in Manchester.
Correct. Downtown Manchester.
Manchester. My favorite place.
Manchester.
Manch Vegas.
Manch Vegas.
The Manch Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Payroll.
Topic
Payroll,
for today.
a topic that every payroll manager doesn't want to hear about.
It's usually a Friday topic, but I guess we're going to make it a Monday topic today, right?
And it's to get prepared for Friday.
That's right.
You got to start on Monday to get prepared for Friday's payroll.
And every business that has employees has payroll. I hope.
Hopefully they're doing it correctly.
Right. Otherwise, but we'll talk about that a little bit, won't we,
Yes,
Anthony?
we will. Yes, we will.
There you go. And HR Synergy, I mean, you're in compliance and policies, and I'm sure payroll is part of the human resource policies and compliance.
There are parts to it that definitely fall under the HR realm, and I have had the opportunity to get to know the payroll role very well in my past career, and I don't want to do it. I want to leave it for the professionals.
Yep. My husband is a CFO with a company in Manchester, and he hates payroll. He hates when it's payroll time.
Tell him I'll do it.
Exactly, because he's like, nope, I got other things to worry about. But we're going to talk about Trivantus and payroll. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your company?
Yeah, I'd love to. Trivantus is a local New Hampshire-based business. We were founded in 2003 by the Gatzis family, locally owned and operated.
Gatzis?
Correct.
As in Mayor Ted Gatzis?
As in Mayor Ted Gatzis' brother, Michael Gatzis.
Oh, my goodness. Ted's a good friend.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think he's good friends with everybody in being in politics.
Exactly.
He has to be good friends with everybody.
Uncle Teddy.
Uncle Teddy.
Yeah.
Uncle Teddy. Yep.
All right. So back to Trivantus.
Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. So we're a locally owned and family operated company by the Gatzis family. We have over 600 clients in the New England area and outside New England as well. Our smallest client's one. Our largest is 1,100 employees. We have everything in between. We pride ourselves on helping the local family-owned businesses here in New Hampshire, and that's who we align with. Because if you think about it, that's what New Hampshire's made up of, is mostly family, locally owned businesses. We have a great software product that we use called Evolution. It was developed by a company called iSystems up in Vermont. Very customizable, user-friendly software. We have the sole rights to that program in New Hampshire. No other companies can use it. And we're just a young, hungry company. We're looking to grow as much as we can. We have a great hold on the greater Manchester area, given our contacts and our location downtown. But we are really branching out as well around the state. We have a great partnership with Bank of New Hampshire.
Oh, cool.
And that's been
the new bank in New Hampshire. Well,
the new bank in New Hampshire.
The new bank in New Hampshire was the old bank in New Hampshire, but that's cool.
Yeah, so they have 22 locations throughout the state. So that's putting the miles on my car and keeping me busy. So
awesome.
It's been great.
Awesome. We had Bank of New Hampshire. You weren't in that day. We had a mortgage representative from Bank of New Hampshire in Bedford, and people were saying, Bank of New Hampshire, weren't you once? You were, but I thought it was no more. And he's like, no, we. So it's a great partnership you have.
Yeah, it is. It's been wonderful. They've been really great to us. We've come a long way with educating the branch managers on payroll, and they've been doing a great job on talking to their clients about payroll. It's kind of an extension of our reach, just longer arms out there to the business community for us. So,
which is awesome.
Yeah.
How long have you been in business?
The company's been in business since 2003, so on our 11th year in business.
Wow. Wow.
But Michael Gatz has been in the payroll industry for over 40 years. I used to own an employee leasing company, actually. That was the largest in New England, and the rest is history after that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. What about your competitors?
My competitors.
I'm not going to touch on any names.
I won't touch on any names.
Most people have
either.
an idea of the
What
payroll
sets
competitors.
you apart from your competitors?
That was my question.
Yeah, absolutely. My sets us apart from the guys that start with A and P. We'll just call them that. How about that?
A&P.
That was
A&P.
a grocery
That
store.
used to be a grocery. I know.
You're probably too young to remember that.
No, I
Anthony.
remember. I grew up in Rhode Island. We had an A and P
A&P.
Okay.
in my town.
Atlantic and Pacific Tea Company.
We'll call them that. How about that? We'll call my
There you
competitors
go.
Tea Party.
The Tea Party. Oh.
No, let's not
Now
go
we're
there.
starting
Let's not go
opening
there.
a whole new can of worms.
Especially with this
Yeah.
equal pay role.
So what sets Trivantus apart?
The number one thing that sets us apart is that we're a local, family-owned, private-held business. My competitors, or my two largest competitors, are nationally publicly traded companies. So they have to go back to their shareholders and make them happy before their customers. Where Trivantus, we're privately owned, customers only. It's customer service only, and that's what it's about. That's the main difference that sets us apart from our competitors. Also, our pricing and the product that I mentioned is very different than what those big box payroll companies offer.
And, the bigger isn't always better. You get better customer service with the little guys,
Right.
I like little. I like little and local. So, these big guys, the A's and P's and QRS's and TUVs,
Yeah.
we like the little guys. That's what we're here to, that's what 2Gs in a Pod do, support the young, small businesses in New Hampshire. So we're pleased to have Trivantus on here because you're local.
Absolutely.
So tell us some more about what exactly kind of payroll do you what is the industries that you deal with?
We deal with a wide variety of industries. We're not set specifically in a certain industry that we have to do or anything like that. We service anything from, restaurants, construction, any kind of like administrative companies. We do everything. The possibilities are endless on industry. We have a lot of different ones. So I think being in downtown Manchester, we have a great hold on the restaurant industry down there. A lot of the restaurants you see in downtown Manchester, we have as clients. So I think we service that industry very well.
How about Nashua?
Yeah, I mean, I have actually my largest client is in Nashua, actually. So, we do serve this area very well as well.
Good.
So, Anthony, there's so much more to payroll than just cutting people's paychecks and making sure the right taxes are taken out. And you can probably hit a little bit on, the importance of a payroll company and the value that Trivantus brings to doing payroll for the accounting side of the world. So as we talk about, maybe some people need to track cost centers, job costs, etc. How does Trivantus fit into that realm? Because I know not all payroll companies do that. And how do they communicate with their accountants and so forth to make sure that, there's a little bit of ease in that tax process and so forth?
Yeah, well, I mean, Michelle, you hit the nail on the head where people get their paycheck and they don't think anything of it and what went into that paycheck for the week. And, I didn't either until I got to Trivantus. I didn't really think anything of my paycheck. I just cashed it and that was it. But yeah, there's a lot that goes into it, a lot of tax compliance and reporting. And as you mentioned, a lot of job costing and different kind of reporting that payroll or CFOs or HR people need. And our system has over 1,600 reports. And if there isn't anything in the system that a company needs, we can have it built for them. And we do a lot of clients, a lot of job costing for clients, a lot of labor distribution as well, where you have employees working in multiple departments, and you want to see the breakdown of that labor and what that employee's costing you in each department. So we do a lot of things like that, and we will communicate with anyone that the client wants us to, whether it's an accountant or bookkeeper or anything like that. We do that very well. Actually, I had an accountant call me because my implementation manager at Trivantus was in contact with their accountant and working on their QuickBooks integration, which I'll talk about a little bit later. And they were communicating with that person, and they were just surprised that a payroll company is actually you're going to talk to us like this and do all this service for us. We wouldn't get that from any other company, and they were just so surprised that they wanted to sit down with us and try to further a business relationship. So.
Nice. So, the buzz around is the Healthcare Reform Act.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. It's a subject
I'd
like to stay away from as well. So,
thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, right.
there are some pretty critical reporting information, I guess, that, employers have to start looking at now for 2015 to determine, how many full-time employees they actually have, to find out if they're going to fall under the Affordable Care Act and if they have to offer. So what type of reporting, if you will, do you have available to help your clients, manage that?
Right. Yeah. So what's going on for 2015 or what's going on right now, I should say, for 2015 is what's called a look back period, where companies need to look back at a specific time, see how many full-time employees or full-time equivalents they have. And we have the reporting to do that. We had a report built specifically for Obamacare regulation. So if a client needs to take a look at that, we have I think only a few clients right now that are actually routinely on a month or bi-month basis taking a look at that report and kind of gauging what they're going to have to do for 2015. But we do have all the Obamacare reporting. We've stayed on top of it.
Excellent. Excellent. That's critical because
well,
that is really a hot button for people right now.
Hello, because so many small businesses which have full-time employees are soon to be probably going part-time because of Obamacare.
But even just to, have a good understanding, full-time employee doesn't necessarily mean 40 hours under this act.
Right. Correct.
So it's critical to have a tool like this, Anthony, that can keep track of that for a company because, they've got so much going on that they really need a reliable resource that can stay on top of that for them. And it's good to hear that, Trivantus has stepped up and taken that on. That's great.
Absolutely.
You must have had to take this on 4 years ago when they first started. This is, I don't want to go into Obamacare because Tim is giving us a little winko.
A lot of people.
Time for a break.
Companies
A breako.
to go.
You're
All
sitting in the pod
Todd with
correct?
Michelle
Small
Gray
little
and
companies.
I think like I was saying with my competitors A&P, they
The Tea Party.
sometimes they charge extra fees for direct deposit, and I don't charge anything extra for direct deposit.
Really?
So yeah, if I have clients that have 2 employees, they're on direct deposit. Actually, we'd prefer them to go on direct deposit. It's an easier process for us internally.
And it's less paper. Save
yeah.
the world.
Less
It's
paper
so
and-
much easier, and you don't have to go through the whole. Your check's got to eat because even when you don't have direct deposit, the check's got to clear, even though it's a payroll check.
Right.
You don't have those issues with direct deposit, and it's trying to make the young kids, my daughters, all their companies that they're with, they have direct deposit. They don't still get the whole concept of direct deposit. And I said, it's very simple. I think everything's done for you.
That's it.
Your money's in the bank on payday.
Correct.
Anthony, I want to ask you the $64,000 question because I've never made that much in one single year. How is it that if one is attempting to just cash, quote unquote, a payroll check, there's usually a fee involved, unless you're, depositing it into an account at that establishment, and yet a drawn check from that same bank, they just give you the money. For example, I could lose a bet to one of these 2 ladies, and they could write me out a check for $35. I could walk into whatever bank they had it written on and just get the $35 and go, ha, I won the bet. But if I get a penny stock bank that we're sitting on top of, a bank of you know what, payroll check, because ours comes from Paychecks out of Portland, Maine.
The competitor.
There's a fee to cash something that seems pretty
Always.
secure to me, a payroll check, as opposed to Glynis could be writing me a check on an account she closed 5 years ago. You know, I mean, it's for $35. They're just going to run it through and give me the cash. Obviously, Absolute Broadcasting LLC must have had some money in the bank, and that's why they could cut this week's or every bi-week paychecks. Why a fee on payroll checks, but not just personal checking accounts?
That's a good question, Tim. I always wondered the same thing.
That is a great question. Well, I'm not sure. It depends on how the payroll's set up. There's what's called you can cut checks off the payroll company's account, and it's essentially called a trust account. So, for example, take Absolute Broadcasting for example. I don't know how it's set up with Paychecks, but they could have it set up where the payroll checks are cut off of Paychecks account. Now, Paychecks uses Citizens Bank. Mm-hmm. So if you go into a Citizens Bank, you're going to cash the check. They're going to charge you the fee because it's cut off of their account.
I see.
Now, Trivantus, we actually have a trust account, and we actually use Citizens. We have to use Citizens because we have clients that are out of New England, so we have to use a local convenient bank because that's the law. Mm-hmm. So we do have a trust account with Citizens Bank, but we don't have a fee. I mean, we have a good relationship with them, so there's no fees if someone goes and cuts a payroll check from Trivantus. There's no fee involved because, I mean, that's not fair. You work hard for the money.
That's the way I look at it, sit on top of the BOA.
Surge
And not only
charge
that,
or whatever.
that could become a Department of Labor issue if an employee is being charged a fee to get their paycheck.
It is.
Ka-ching.
I've
It is a
seen
Department of
on
Labor
paycheck stubs surcharges.
Yeah, that's not good.
Oh, really?
Riley.
If I wanted to, rather than, say, depositing it into account. And by the way, there's about 3 or 4 of us here who actually get a paycheck every other Thursday. The others do direct deposit. There's 3 or 4 of us who get our little envelopes. It would be cheaper for me to go to one of these loan paycheck type places or Walmart. The fee is smaller at Walmart if I just wanted to cash a check that day, as opposed to depositing it into something so I don't have to pay a fee at all. The BOA itself that we're sitting on top of charges more money
What
than
does that
Walmart.
mean? What's BOA?
Well, it's not Bank of North America. It's not Bank of South America. I think it's just plain old Bank of America.
Yeah, something like that.
You know, as I call it, the penny stock bank.
Yeah, there you go. Ooh. Your tenants. But that is it's a question that, you know, I've had that issue too. You know, some small companies cannot afford to do a direct deposit, you know, because they don't have enough employees. Number one, you need a certain amount.
No, you don't need a certain amount at all. You know, that's an advantage of Trivantus. We don't have a minimum for direct deposit. We don't charge any extra for it. So,
interesting.
Who do I talk to at Absolute Broadcasting?
There you go. Really,
that's
seriously.
the real question now.
I mean, Trivantus is, you know, the big guys are the ones where there's always problems.
Right.
There's always problems because, like, big isn't better. You're a number on a paycheck stub.
Right.
If I have a problem with my paycheck, and I've had problems with my paycheck, even on a direct deposit, I've had problems. The money wasn't there, even though my direct deposit came through. At least with Trivantus, pick up the phone.
Right. You pick up the phone, you call a local 603 number. You'll be in with a customer service rep within 10, 15 seconds, guaranteed. And they don't have voicemail in the customer service office, so you're guaranteed a live person every time you call.
Like the good old days.
Mm-hmm.
Like the good old days, right.
Even when you call Trivantus to begin with, you get a live person.
Well,
Not
that's the way
if
it
you
should
want to
be.
speak with so-and-so.
Press
Right.
2, press 3 if you want English, press...
Yeah.
If you
By
want
the time you get
Portuguese,
to where you want to be, you're pretty aggravated.
Disgusted. And that's what I love about small. I advocate for small local businesses because of this very reason. I don't like big anymore. Mm-hmm. We don't even use. We had someone on from Bank of New Hampshire, and I was thrilled that this I mean, the whole thing has changed. People are getting away from the big banks, and they're going to credit unions. I'm part of St. Mary's. Left the big guy, TD. The other initial people.
St. Mary's is actually pretty big, but they keep that small bank feeling, which
Right.
is
Love it.
yeah, which is nice.
Love it.
So let's hop back a little bit back to payroll. And what are some of the hot buttons right now in the payroll arena?
Hot buttons in the payroll arena. Well, we touched upon the Obamacare reporting.
Mm-hmm.
That's always a big issue. I mean, that's going to be a big issue for a long time. But I think a shift in payroll right now is going towards as much automation as possible. And with that, you have benefit products. So a payroll company, we take the deductions for benefits and 401k and whatever else, and it's just taking that extra step and uploading those benefits to the carrier. So in terms of 401k, we have the ability to take the deduction, calculate the company match, and upload those funds to the carrier, whether it's an American Funds, John Hancock, Lincoln Financial, whoever it might be. So we just completely automate the process for the client. In terms of health insurance, that's becoming the new automation, if you call it. So what's going on with that? There's actually benefits products where the employee has an employee self-service where they can log on themselves, elect the company's benefits, whatever's offered, and then that product can send directly to the carrier the enrollment. So it eliminates the any kind of paper enrollment.
Interesting.
And it's huge for anyone who's doing benefits, especially if it's a large
And is
company.
that something that Trivantus offers?
Yes, it is.
Nice. And are there any company size requirements for that?
Yeah. There is company size requirements in terms of doing the full automation. I know, like with Anthem Blue Cross, for example, if that's who the client has the benefits with, they need at least 100 employees to be able to do that kind of upload.
Mm-hmm. But that could be a real time and cost savings for a large organization like that to have that automation. I remember my days of sorting through benefits paperwork and checking everything and sending it over to the carrier and answering all their questions for the stuff that's wrong and blah, blah, blah. And I love to hear that you do all that, because that really is a nightmare for the HR person or whoever's handling the HR within the organization. So that's fantastic. What else is going on out there?
What else is going on out there? Let's see. Those are the two main things: the Obamacare reporting and the benefits administration. Payroll itself is just very competitive. It's a very competitive arena, and you just gotta. The way we compete is just the local aspect. No one else has that around here, really. So we really compete on the local aspect and the customer service.
What happens, Anthony, if, and it looks like it could be, I hate to even say this because we are New Hampshire and that's what people love about New Hampshire. What happens if New Hampshire gets an income tax? How is that going to affect payroll?
Right. That'll affect payroll. We'll have to take the deduction out of the employee's paycheck for that. That there is a spot in our software for a new code in case that happens.
Just in case.
So that the way it works is, as I mentioned before, the system's developed in Vermont by a company called iSystems, and we actually have a tax and finance department in house as well. And that our tax and finance department will talk to iSystems, and they will make sure that is set up correctly. We won't have happy clients.
It is a matter of time, and it's a shame because I'm from New Jersey, and we moved up here. Jersey girl, real Jersey girl, and we moved up here because of the tax-free, live it free and die, and things are changing.
It'll be a lower tax rate.
Okay,
Yeah.
like you were back to the little guys. Little guys. I use QuickBooks.
Okay.
I don't have payroll because it's just me, myself, and I very rarely pay myself. But do you advise a small business who, maybe like yourself, HR Synergies, which is the better way to go? QuickBooks or Peachtree?
For payroll?
For payroll.
Neither.
I say Trivantus.
Trivantus.
There you go. Oh, boy, did I lead that up to the... Bada bang.
That was called
We
a
just-
softball that I could have hit from
Right?
way over here.
There you go. So for a company, all right, I'm taking on 3 more photographers. Okay. And I do use QuickBooks. I hate it. My husband is the accountant. He's the CPA. He does my books. He hates it. How would Trivantus be an advantage to me?
Well, we'd be advantage to you over QuickBooks because, like you said, you hate using it. So you wouldn't have to use it anymore.
You would do it all for me.
I would do it all for you. We would do everything for you. We would. I don't know if you use direct deposit on the QuickBooks model, so you'd be able to have direct deposit. You'd be able to have a paperless payroll because we could do the direct deposit for you, email your check stub, and email the reports to you. We would take care of all the tax reporting that needed to be done for the business. As far as your husband, he hates doing the books. He wouldn't have to do the books anymore either because we have what's called a QuickBooks integration, a GL integration that can actually just a file you upload into QuickBooks that updates your GL for you.
So who does all those quarterly reports for the employers, the unemployment taxes and all that?
We take care of all the reporting.
And is there an additional fee? I know some payroll companies charge like per W-2 that they've got to do.
1099s that they're sending
Right.
out.
How does it work?
It
with
it is that way, but it's not as much as those
big guys.
larger guys. We're
The
very
A&P.
fair on price. On average, I'm about 20% less expensive than the A&P guys.
Wow.
Yeah. And
I always
actually-
thought A&P was the place to shop.
I did. Yeah. Well, not anymore. Not anymore. Hey, listen. Competition is good. I mean,
Right.
But this is to me. My ears are wide open because I hate doing QuickBooks. I do. I try to keep it up for my husband, and he comes in. He's like, "Oh God, Glennis, what did you cut this check for? What did you cut that check for? Did you get the because I'm paying independent contractors." Where's the 1099s, Glennis? You got to ask for the 1099.
Right.
W-9. You got to ask for a W-9.
W9s. Yep, the W9s.
Sorry, I'm totally into that payroll world.
Hello, that payroll. It's just I got to keep on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
I have to watch when I'm paying my independent contractors because if you go over a certain limit, it's taxable.
Right.
Which is what, 600?
Yes.
So let's throw a scenario out there. We have a company, pretty large size company, let's say about 200 employees, currently does payroll in-house. Right.
Uh-oh.
That's my idea too, right?
They used to do that, You're
know.
too young to know
they
that.
still do,
Oh,
and
yeah,
that's why I'm coming around this question here. So as we're looking at maybe a reorganization of or restructuring of some of the positions. I'm thinking, might be more worth it to outsource payroll versus having it done in house, and you can utilize your people for other things. Does that make sense? I mean, if you're looking at a company that's about 200 employees, let's say, 90% are on direct deposit, one state. We're not going to talk multi-state, even though I know you can handle multi-state.
That's another issue.
Right. So let's say one state, is it worth it for them to consider outsourcing the payroll versus doing it? I think about all the time involved and everything of having payroll in-house. I think about like tax time. April 15th just went by. The benefits that could have been from having a payroll company to have, all the reporting and so forth together for them when they have all the other things to think about at tax time. What are the advantages, Anthony?
Well, you mentioned the first advantage, I think, would be the time. Time spent doing payroll could be spent doing other things that could benefit the company. And as if they're doing payroll in-house, what software could they be using? QuickBooks, Peachtree. Gladys, you hate using QuickBooks, and it's just one
But
employee.
I like Peachtree, and it's one in front. Yeah.
Yeah, and you hate using it. So imagine if you had 200 employees and you had to use QuickBooks. It's a nightmare using that sort of program to do that. So, and then you have to, on top of that, worry about making sure your tax payments are paid on time. You have to worry about getting out your 941s and your
We're listening to 2Gs in a Pod on WSMN 1590, and we're sitting in the pod with Anthony Poole, Trivantus Incorporated.
Thank you very much for having me.
Payroll, the dreaded department in any, right?
Well, it depends
You were saying
on who's
that on the
thinking
break.
about it, right?
Depends on who's
Exactly.
doing it.
The
Who's doing it?
Employees like payroll because that's where their money's coming from.
Hey, hello. But the ones preparing the money, they don't know what goes
not so
into.
fun.
It's a how do you get, especially people who have weekly payrolls? That must be a nightmare.
I mean, it sounds like it's a nightmare, but I really think that Trivantus, the way we approach payroll, we make it very easy for the client. And I think most of our clients now, when comes time to do payroll, it just happens, just done. And
Just make sure the money is
just make sure
deposited in the account.
Right, and we make it very easy for the clients. I hate to use the term, but we're big on hand-holding, if you will, with our clients and making sure that they're comfortable with the product that we have, and we just get them to a point where they're so comfortable with it that payroll is just second nature.
How did they actually get their payroll to you? So do they call in hours? Do they have a form that they fill out and send to you? Do they do it themselves online? How does that work?
All of the above. So clients have the ability to call in, fax, email, or use our online software. So any way they want to submit it to us is fine, and you're not stuck with a certain way. So if you say, I'm going to call in, you don't have to just call in. You can call up and say, hey, I want to try using the online product. We'll give you access to the online software, and you can try it that way if you want.
So you
we're very
really do
flexible.
hold their hands, which is nice. What's that song from the Beatles? I just want to hold your hand. I'm not going to sing because I'll be in trouble.
She just opened up. What do we do, Tim?
What did I do?
Make her sing. Make her
Oh,
sing.
God, no. Everyone will
time.
tune out.
Karaoke time. I think the most dreaded part of payroll is doing the tax deductions. And, do we still, see, I haven't been in a business situation for a long time. Do you still have to fill out your W-2 and all that information? And that goes to Trivantus?
Right, yeah. The employees have to fill out their W-4, which is what they want to have for taxes taken out for federal taxes. And we get that information, and we tax accordingly based on what their payroll is, what their earnings are.
Oh, my God. I always hated that. It was,
It's a lot of stuff.
It's a lot of stuff, a lot of paper shuffling, which I am thinking I'm hearing that Trivantus cuts through the paper shuffle.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, you just give it to us. You don't have to shuffle, you just pass.
That in itself is a big, big, big advantage.
Right.
You don't have to. I know with the bigger guys, you kind of have to you have to watch them. I mean, they make a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, they do make a fair share of mistakes, but I could never knock as much as I having fun calling them A&P, but you can't knock those guys. I mean, they are invented outsourcing payroll. ADP started out having outsourced to larger companies. Paychex was more geared towards small, medium-sized businesses, and they're the two largest payroll companies in the world. Paychex is $4 billion a year. ADP is $6 billion a year. Mm-hmm. So they have to be doing something correct to be making that much money. It's just that at the same time, how the size of them is also their biggest detriment. They're just so big that they forget about the small, medium-sized businesses in New Hampshire. They just sometimes forget about them and just don't have enough resources to pay that much attention to every single client they have. I mean, they have hundreds of thousands of clients, and it's just hard to.
Now, is Trivantus solely in New Hampshire, or do you do Vermont? Do you do Maine? Do you do our fellows to the south?
Well, we're solely New Hampshire in the terms of location. We don't have hubs anywhere else. We have one location, downtown Manchester. That's where payroll's processed from. That's where checks are cut and shipped from our office in Manchester. But we do tax filing services. We can do tax filing services in any state, but right now we're in 43 states. So we're all the New England states. So our neighbors to the south, our two to the north.
Wow.
Yeah. And the small ocean state, we got everything covered.
The small ocean state.
And that's something very important for businesses to be aware of if they're shopping payroll companies is, do you have multiple locations or do you plan to have multiple locations? Are they in different states? Because you want to make sure that you choose a payroll company that can manage that. Because having to shift payroll is not always such a good thing, not so much a good thing, but timing is important when you're going to change payroll companies. So it's really important when you're shopping to look at those important things. What works for you as a business? Is it automation? Is it, can they handle multiple states? Do they do all of the tax reporting? Do they do your tax payments? All of those things are very critical in choosing a payroll company, correct?
Correct. Yeah, especially with the multi-state tax filing, because every state's different on how they operate. And Pennsylvania is, I know, if David's listening at my office, I'm sure he's cringing right now just thinking about the state of Pennsylvania.
Are they as bad as New York? That's got like a tax on a tax on a tax.
And
yes.
New Jersey's right up.
Too?
Oh my
Yeah.
God!
Yeah.
Massachusetts isn't the only tax state.
Taxachusetts.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Pennsylvania is right up there with them because they have, they tax according to where the employee works and where they live. So there's two different. You have to figure out the rates of each and
different counties.
the different counties and all that good stuff. And David, my tax and finance director, tried explaining it to me one day, and I said, "Oh, great,
Nice.
awesome.
Glad it's your job.
I'm glad it's your
not
job. I'll continue going out and meeting
We're so
new
glad we
new
have you,
businesses."
David.
Yeah.
Oh my! Somebody's got to do it, though. I mean,
Right.
somebody's got to sit there and plug all the by April 15th the tax returns.
Right.
Somebody's
Right.
got to do it.
Well, and for payroll, it's not just April 15th. It's the end of
It's-
every quarter.
that's right.
And then there's the end of the year and
The
and
end
it's
of the
just-
month
It just
and-
seems like, at least accountants, they get that once a year thing, it seems like. Payroll company every quarter.
Right.
And then at the end of the year, they get slammed again. So
Yeah, in the end of the year, we have to do W-2s and the fourth quarter quarterly, so you kind of get it at the
That's
same
right.
time. So
yeah, which is
Do you ever
absolutely
have you
crazy.
ever had a problem with a company that they could not meet the payroll?
and yeah, financially,
Yeah.
yes, yeah, we have had that happen.
What do you do about something like that?
Well, what we try to do is we try to talk to the client, see what's going on with them. We've actually had some clients have to actually pay cash. They just didn't have the money at the time, so they actually had to pay the fee in cash. We work with them to see what we can do to help them out and kind of get them back on track with processing payroll. And that would be more of my job as a salesperson to reach out to the client and kind of figure out what's going on with them and what we can do to help them out so that they don't that doesn't happen.
You mentioned fee.
Yes.
Talk about it. What kind of a fee does Trivantus impose on any of your clients? Is it fee based according to the number of employees they have? How does that work?
Yeah, the fee is based upon how many employees you have at a particular rate that we have, and it's different than my competitors. They have different tiered systems. So
Right.
if you want online payroll, it's this tier, and then if you want to add the human resource module, you're up to this tier. It's kind of like the way I equate it to is kind of like Comcast. So if you have Comcast and you want you want HBO, so you call up, you got to get Cinemax and all those other channels because it's part of the package, and that's how they operate in payroll as well. So if you want the HR module, well, you got to get all these other things too, and it's more money.
So that's how it is with AMP, but not necessarily with Trivantus.
Not necessarily with Trivantus. Yeah, I mean there are some
The other
add-ons that we have,
advantage
but
of having a
Smaller company.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are some of the other things that, as I was saying, when you're looking at different payroll companies, these are the things that are important to look at. Is there anything else that's really important to consider when looking at payroll companies?
Yeah, I would think customer service with Trivantus. I mean, you have the ability to come into our office, have a demo, sit down. You can meet David. You can meet David, tax and finance director. You can meet Katrina, implementation manager. Lindsay, who's our payroll manager, and you can even meet Michael Gatsis as well. You know, there's a lot of times we do demos where he comes in and introduces himself to the client. And you know, how many companies or how many vendors do businesses have where they can actually see the president of the company and shake his hand and get his phone number and his contact information?
Are they all listening right now?
I think so.
Good.
I hope so.
Good, because we want everybody to pick up the phone, especially small businesses. Pick up the phone, call Trivantus, reach out. Who would they ask for if after this broadcast they said, "Wow, I want to find out. I want to know more about." Are you the one?
Yes,
Anthony, that comes out?
Yep, they'd reach out to me.
How do they reach out to you?
They can reach out to me personally via email at apool@trivantus.com, or you can reach us by phone, 603-624-7788. Give me a call.
Spell it for us, Trivantus.
Trivantus, it's Trivantus.
Do you have a website?
We do, trivantus.com.
So if anybody's online right now, they can go to Trivantus. Do you have all your different packages and stuff?
We do. We have all that online. You can send an email. There's an info email you can send your contact information to. There's even a live chat as well.
Oh,
so
cool.
we have someone at our office that at their desk they monitor a live chat. So if they start talking about payroll, I will get that information from the live chat, and I can
the
give them a
live
call.
chat in Manchester. There's somebody sitting there.
Correct.
Ready.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
It's those special touch.
Getting rid of that
really makes a
dial
difference.
1 for English, dial.
Right. We don't do that.
That's the
And
advantage.
anyone who knows me, service is huge.
Oh.
It really is huge.
That's what's lacking in today's society is what happened to customer service.
And business people on the go, for example, that have a quick question because something's come up. You're on OnStar. You don't have a 1 to press or a 2 to press.
That's right.
So I'd
You're
love
right.
calling this company or having it in my little OnStar directory. 'Cause I'm going to get a human being that's at least going to start working on my question.
Yep.
Right.
Absolute
point, Tim.
Broadcasting. You better go talk to the guys.
Absolutely.
Absolute for
I'm
absolute.
here now. I'm here now.
So you, Anthony, you are the business development.
Correct.
How many sales people are there within Trivantus? So if you're not available, and I know that you stay with your clients through the process and beyond.
There's 4 of us out there, so reach out.
Excellent.
Say it again. Trivantus.com.
Trivantus.com. Trivantus.com.
Ask for Anthony if you give them a call, and
Absolutely.
he will be he will come out and visit with your company.
Absolutely.
You hear that, Tim? Did you write that down, Tim? We are about to end the show. Another